Welcome back to the channel. This is the Cineforce State of the Fandom, and this is basically going to be our show for just a general discussion about what's going on as of right now in the worlds of our various, geeky fandoms, just the IPs that we know and love, and all of that kind of various random talk about geeky subjects, Marvel, DC, Star Wars. Those are kind of like our big three. I'm Liam, and I got on the phone my brother Kit.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I assume I can hear you. I'm going to assume whoever's listening can hear you as well. I'll check that later. But, yeah, that's basically what I want, what this show is going to become to be, is like just a place to talk about what is going on in the world of geekdom right now.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on at the moment. I'm actually not
big deal.
So I understand the Star Wars. I'm like honestly super out of the loop. What's going on? I understand the Star Wars celebration is going on. What's going on with that?
All right. So if people aren't familiar with anything, people are not familiar with us, for one. This is like basically our first episode. So probably obvious to most people who are in that geekdom bubble, most of what we're going to be talking about is probably going to revolve around our kind of big three fandoms. So mostly, for us, we're huge Star Wars fans. So Star Wars, and then also Marvel and
Star Wars.
Go ahead, you were going to say?
Oh yeah, no, I was going to say Marvel, DC, and the big one for the both of us.
Yeah, is Star Wars, I think. I got the hat and shirt on right now, and we don't discriminate. I also want this show to kind of be a place to touch on all the various things. Like we say, our biggest fandom is Star Wars, but we also love Star Trek. We love Lord of the Rings. We love all the Amazon.
For the both of us and for the both of us in a league all of its own, Transformers.
Right here on my hat.
For sure.
That's true. And not a ton going on in that geekdom world right now, but there is a bit, honestly. There's a new movie.
Well, we got Rise of the Beast. Yeah, we got Rise of the Beast coming.
And
they're like
so torn on.
I know they're broken up the legacy line.
Yep.
As they've been.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I think you and I could go on for literally probably days at a time about any one of these, various topics, but just a place to talk. We just love, movies, TV, comics, games, all of that really nerdy, geeky stuff.
Whatever we can consume.
Yeah, but the big ones, and right now, I think, is a really good time to talk Star Wars because as of recording this, it is Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, by the way, if you celebrate it.
Happy Easter, everybody.
I heard, by the way, Kit, you had a good Easter today. You were telling me.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
wonderful.
But no, it's so this weekend also was the weekend of Star Wars Celebration, which is
what's going on with that? I'm completely unprivy to what's going on. I just read.
Okay, so I know
something that said, as you know, we've got all hands on deck.
Yes.
As you know, what we just revealed at Celebration, and I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so that's probably exciting to anybody listening to this who does know what that means, because that means I'm going to be telling you about some of that right now. So Celebration is basically Lucasfilm's convention for all things Star Wars. It is a Star Wars focused convention, like D23, like Comic-Con, but just completely revolving around Star Wars.
Just their platform to announce what's on.
Yep. This year they had it in London, so that was not doable for either of us to get to, even if we had the money. That's a big trip. That's a big ask. But they're showing a lot of the stuff online. Everybody's talking about it. They've dropped the big thing right from jump, like the first night at like 3 a.m. They finally put out a trailer for the Ahsoka show.
Oh, word. Okay, I actually think I saw a headline or two about that.
I would, if we didn't have to do this particular episode as a phone-in call episode, I would want to set up a thing where like I could have you on camera with me and like we could both watch it and have your reaction to it.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
But
I did see a headline about the possibility of the of live action Ezra Bridger.
I don't think it's a possibility. I think it's a certainty.
Yeah, no, they got him cast. Who's playing him?
I don't know the guy.
Oh, isn't it the guy from the live action Aladdin? Wasn't it the guy who played Aladdin?
That was what Rosario Dawson was like rumoring a while ago, but I don't think it's him. I think it's another guy.
Yeah, and I didn't read the article. I didn't have time to read the article. I just saw the headline. So
people were kind of fan casting him as Ezra. But I think it's another guy that I'm not familiar with, but I've heard he basically, looks the part. So I'm fine with, if that's the case, I'm fine with that. If you guys at home are not familiar with Star Wars Rebels in particular, number one, go and watch that show right now.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Like, some of the best Star Wars content.
And Christian,
there.
I need to get on you about, like, you haven't even finished that show, have you?
No. No, I haven't watched, I haven't even watched, I haven't been able to finish Rebels. Not Rebels, Clone Wars, the 7th season of Clone Wars.
You need to watch the 7th season of Clone Wars, for sure. And, I am pretty firm for you and for anybody listening who isn't completely up to date with the Star Wars universe. I think that you kind of need to watch Rebels in its complete, in its entirety before you go into the Ahsoka show. That is what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like because that's one of the first things that she references in live action when they introduce her in Mandalorian is she references looking for Thrawn.
Yes,
which I'm pretty sure I haven't even gotten to Thrawn.
I was going to say, how much do you know about the character of Thrawn?
I don't know too much. I do know that they cast him in live action. Do you know that?
I do, because I'll spoil one thing.
I know who it is. I know who it is.
No, I get, but like about the trailer itself.
Oh yeah, sure.
You do see a quick shot of what very clearly looks like the back of that character's head.
Oh, word!
So he's in it. He's in it.
That's awesome. That's super awesome.
And the only other thing I'll say before you get a chance to watch the trailer for yourself is like you see some of the other Rebels characters in there too.
Oh, nice!
In the trailer, dude.
Dude, nice!
And also, Ahsoka is basically going to be Rebels Season 5. It is very clearly taking place after the events of Rebels, but like during the Mandalorian timeline. And again, you at home too, if you have been sleeping on the Mandalorian, and I know, Kit, you have to catch up on.
Yeah, I haven't even seen any of the. I don't have a chance.
You're on the channel.
I haven't worked on The Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, I that's what I have to get caught up on.
Oh, definitely done that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I love as a little diversion, I love the precedent that show is setting for video game adaptations.
Oh yeah, because I haven't played the games, but
I'm hearing nothing about
my wife Mia has played the games, and she is like, so from what she's saying is like, oh yeah, I recognize this from the games, I recognize this mission from the games, I recognize this mission from the game. So it sounds like it's super just like on track with like exactly how the game goes. I haven't played the game, but I recognize the characters just from their their outfits, like depicted on screen. So it seems like it's super accurate.
And that's been a big problem with like pretty much all video game to film or TV adaptations, like until now, is like they just vary so wildly from the source material that the true fans of the games are always kind of bummed about the final product, because it's like, why?
And also, people are jumping ship. Henry Cavill, The Witcher,
Yeah. Dude,
Also, he lost another franchise. Poor Henry Cavill right now, dude. Like,
dude,
he's like losing all the franchises, and it's because he's trying to stay true. He's like, I'm not cool. I'm not staying true to the source material. I forget what the other one was.
But here's the really good thing, I think, for geeky people right now is that the tide seems to be turning on all of that. Marvel was kind of like the first IP to right the ship in that direction with the MCU, where they got like a really good cross section of, they set the bar of like, this is how you adapt something where it can be different from what you as fans know, but it's faithful enough that everybody loves it, and and
it doesn't look. It doesn't look unlike like the source material.
And it's believable. It's not corny. It's not hammy. Yep. It's not what we like. You and I are kind of we're I guess what could be classified as elder millennial generation to millennial generation, and what we grew up with as like what we had for comic book movies and comic book shows. Absolute garbage compared to what people have now. It is
we grew up on the Batman movies, which the Keaton Batman movies got the ball rolling on, so it almost started a superhero movie wave in the 80s, in the 80s and 90s, but then Forever and Batman and Robin killed that until Spider-Man.
Yeah. And then Spider-Man, is like the kind of the true start of the current
Spider-Man and X-Men.
The current Spider-Man X-Men geeky movies. Yeah, that was what saved Marvel too. Basically, it was those two franchises. But when we were kids, particularly for me, when I was a kid, I was born at the very end of the '80s, and when I was a kid, I was starved for comic books. I loved comic books. I was reading all the Avengers stuff and like just dreaming about the movies that we have nowadays, the Iron Man, the Captain America, and we didn't. We had the Superman movies from the 70s and 80s with Christopher Reeve. We had the
which I actually haven't even seen.
I saw them when I was younger. I haven't watched them for a long time, except for like clips. They are, by today's standards, pretty corny, and the third and fourth one are kind of just outright bad. Both production-wise, everything.
Well, not if you look. You're talking about the Batman movies, right?
No, the Superman movies.
Superman movies. Yeah. I totally agree. Because I've never. That thing's like, I don't even really consider myself for me, it consists I really couldn't claim to be a fan of Superman. Right? Superman's there. He serves his purpose within the DC universe.
I think a lot of people do feel like that.
Man of Steel was really good. Man of Steel was really good. I was sullied on the DC stuff for a while because, especially once, Batman vs. Superman, I wasn't super impressed with, mostly because of, I want to like Ben Affleck so much as Bruce Wayne because he cares about the character and he cares about the content. But he's just not a good cast. Unfortunately, he's just not a good cast.
And general opinion. I mean, I really liked bits of what he did.
He's got. Oh my God! Well, that's the thing is, I picture Josh Brolin delivering any of the lines that he delivers, and I'm like, damn, that's a good Batman. It's just not. He is not a good cast for Batman. He's got too soft features. He's too baby faced, and he looks too silly when he makes an angry face.
That I'll agree with you on. And my personal fan casting for Bruce/Batman has for a while been John Hamm from Mad Men.
John Hamm would be a good one. That's the thing. It's like, I think it's too late. I think he's getting a little too old for it. Not John Hamm. John Hamm, I think is still good. I'm talking about mine is Josh Brolin. I would love to see Josh Brolin. Yeah.
And I agree with you.
He's like the grizzled scowl. He's got it perfect.
I think if you were casting a straight up Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns Batman movie, then
no other cast.
I'm totally on board with you with that, and I would watch that movie too. And you know what is cool about what DC's doing now is that they could still do that if they want. They have established now this Elseworlds brand of movies that they could do a random old Batman movie if they want to. So that is still on the table very much.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see how they do that because, right now, that's the thing is, I don't know what they're doing with them after Flash. I think they're using Flash as a swan song probably. But I mean, as of right now, Keaton's got hold on that.
Yeah, that's true too. It's like what they've got Keaton and Affleck being 50 plus years old now too is like they have very much touched the base of a bit of an older Batman in several.
Well, that's what they were trying to go with.
Yeah,
that's what they were trying to go with. Just the Ben Affleck cast. But Ben Affleck doesn't look like an old man. Like Ben Affleck may be the right age to play old man Batman, but he does not look like old man Batman. Like he does not look or feel like old man Batman. He still feels like a young, but he still feels like middle-aged Batman, not like old grizzled Batman.
He is definitely middle-aged Batman. I want to come back and touch more on DC, but we were getting a little off of what I.
Oh yeah.
We're talking
about Star Wars.
We were talking about Star Wars, and I wanted to talk about Star Wars because number one, for both you and whoever ends up watching this, whenever you're watching this, if you haven't gotten to The Mandalorian Season 3 yet, Kit, you need to watch The Mandalorian Season 3. It is.
I know.
Shit's getting good. There's 2 episodes.
Yeah, you don't need to tell me.
Yeah. There's only, as of recording this, there's 2 episodes left in the season.
I've seen some stuff about there's not people aren't super happy about what they're doing with Bo-Katan's character.
There's a bit of mixed reaction in general, but and I don't know what your opinion. We're gonna have to do another episode again when you have caught up.
I'll try and catch up on that.
Because right now I don't want to spoil any major bits of an actual show that is currently out and airing for you.
We'll get to that.
But Mandalorian Season 3 itself, I don't want to spoil any major plot points for you right now. So also, if anybody comments on this video, you can put anything you want in the comments because we probably Kieran, you don't have to read them, but I don't want to spoil any of that right now, except for the fact that I am perfectly pumped about what they're doing with Bo-Katan's character right now. That's actually what I think is the best part of the show right now. And
oh, word! That's
I will say that this season so far has been very heavily focused on her, and I think that is what some people are complaining, that it's actually focusing so much on her that it kind of feels like Din is taking a bit of a back seat in his own show. But honestly...
Well, I mean, that's what they need to do. That's what they're probably not getting our own show, right? How else are they going to vote?
Well, that we know of. But honestly, I'm actually perfectly fine with that. Because, you and I are from the old days. We've been big into the Clone Wars show for a while. Since back before we had a finale to it, people who grew up in the current generation, beyond all the other fandoms, particularly with Star Wars, are completely spoiled. We are living in an embarrassment of riches right now.
Oh my God, the stuff I used to, especially when it started to when Disney Plus came out, and Mandalorian came out, it really started to open up. It's really started, the prospects of the expansion, the universe expansion started. I was like, wow, are they really doing all this stuff that I've been dreaming of since I was a kid?
They are.
Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home. Comic book movie masterpiece.
That's a whole other conversation.
I know that's not Star Wars, but it's just touching on the subject of stuff we've been waiting to see on screen since we were children. You really can't match that. You can't even talk about that without just giving No Way Home a mention.
That's right, and
that is just perfection.
That perfectly fits what I'm talking about for a state of the fandom address in general. Is right now, that is my general opinion, is that yes, there are plenty of things to nitpick, and there are things in every fandom.
They're never going to do anything perfect.
There's stuff in every IP that's out right now that I don't like and I would change. And with
exactly. Like for instance, shifting gears off of let's come back to Star Wars, but shifting gears off of Star Wars for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking about Marvel, everybody is down on Marvel right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Quantumania. I'm reserving judgment. I am reserving judgment till I see it. Like, I'm not going to listen to everybody who's saying it sucks. I'm going to reserve judgment there. And yeah, the shows have not been doing well. I haven't finished She-Hulk, but like the first episode or two wasn't bad. Yep. But here's what I think is going. That's the thing, is everybody's just going to be patient.
Yes.
They came off of Thanos.
Yeah.
Their universe. Yeah. They got to start universe building again from scratch.
Can we?
Like they've got Kang in the mix. That's the thing. It's like they've thrown Kang in the mix. I think Kang's story arc is suffering from them being in a transitional period. But people got to realize they have not even. They're heading into Fantastic Four territory and X-Men territory. We have got so much. We've got Mutants to look forward to. We have got Apocalypse to look forward to. We have got Galactus to look forward to.
We have
so much for that they have not even begun to set up. Like, people just need to be patient. But Marvel is just building their next move. I'm convinced.
And here's with Marvel, like, yeah, that's what I was gonna say about Marvel is there has been big, like, for the first time in a long time, Marvel is seeing a big division of opinion. Like I say, for those first 10 years from Iron Man up until Endgame, I mean, yeah, they had some hiccups here. Like, yeah, Incredible Hulk could be better, and like a lot of people don't like the second Thor movie, et cetera, et cetera. But like,
and also they're receiving flack because, like you said, Incredible Hulk. They are pretty much, from what I'm seeing, leaders coming back for a New World Order. They're pretty much turning. What people are complaining about, they're pretty much turning Captain America 4 into Incredible Hulk 2.
Honestly, I'm not complaining about that. But,
yeah, like, how else are they going to bring those back? Like, they're bringing back Liv Tyler. Like, I'm assuming, they're bringing Liv Tyler back.
I've heard. I was going to mention that.
And Harrison Ford's going to be playing off.
How do you feel about the recast on that?
Well, I mean, obviously, necessary because the other guy's dead.
It'll probably be a bit jarring, but I am actually...
Harrison Ford is fine.
I love Harrison Ford. I mean, we're Star Wars fans. I love Harrison Ford.
He's a dick, but he's fine. He's a fine actor.
He's a lovable dick. Yeah. By the way, have you seen any of the trailers? It's another little tangent, but have you seen any of the trailers for Indiana Jones 5?
No, I haven't. I haven't mentioned, but I haven't. I mean, Indiana Jones is like one of the fandoms that's like definitely lower on the totem for me.
Okay.
But like, I'm definitely interested, and like, I haven't seen any or heard any news. I just didn't know there was a trailer.
Pressing pause on Marvel again for a minute, but I want to come back to it. This kind of leads back into Star Wars a little bit too, because but also touching on Lucasfilm and their general state of stuff. I've seen the first teaser for Indiana Jones 5. The second one just came out during this weekend, and I have yet to watch it. I'm probably going to put a reaction up on the YouTube channel for it in the next few days. But the first trailer looked pretty good. I am okay. Like,
does it seem like they're just pretending Crystal Skull didn't happen?
I don't think they're going to pretend it didn't happen. I hear that. What's that?
Shia LaBeouf?
No, I haven't heard anything about Shia LaBeouf being in it, but who knows? I feel like they'll mention him, but he probably won't be in it.
Well, yeah, they gotta mention it. They passed the torch.
Yeah, but not really.
And now he's just not gonna be there.
Not really. They almost had him pick up the hat at the end of that movie, but then Harrison Ford snatched it back, and he was like, "No, I'm Indiana Jones." And that's basically what he said. Is like, no, as long as I'm alive, nobody else is gonna be Indiana Jones. And I'm good with that. Like, we don't need.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
We don't need a dozen Indiana Jones movies. We just need any indie movies that come out to be good movies, And I think
exactly.
Crystal Skull isn't even a terrible movie, but it did put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again because I haven't even seen it since it came out. It's been like 10 years since I've seen it.
I rewatched it recently, and it's like, I think my opinion on it is that it is an okay movie in general. It just has a couple key moments that are just so outlandish that it takes you out of it, you know. Particularly,
yeah, I can see that, and also, well, I didn't know the legends too, because that's the thing. When that movie came out, I was super pumped because I was super into the legend of like ancient aliens, like ancient astronaut, ancient alien theories.
Yeah.
Well, it came out. Well, it came out also when that was still when aliens were and UFOs were still a taboo subject, and it was like still a hush hush. And like it was a question like, are UFOs real? And now we're living in a time where the government is like, yep, we don't know what that shit is. That definitely exists.
We're not saying
have fun with that knowledge.
It's like we're not saying that it's extraterrestrial beings, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what these things are. So, you know,
could be. Yeah, totally could be.
Sleep tight.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like people's big problem, the big vocal problem with that movie was like, oh, putting aliens in Indiana Jones, that's stupid. I had no problem with aliens being in.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, why not? Especially like ancient astronauts. Yeah.
And the Ark of the Covenant, the melting people's faces and like ancient Indian stones, like people ripping people's hearts out of their chests while they're still alive. Like,
considering all of the legends. Considering the plethora of legends of ancient astronaut theory and ancient alien theories, I feel like that is kind of just the logical, of course Indiana Jones was eventually going to go there because that's where anthropology and that's where a lot of lines of anthropology and archaeology will lead back to. Eventually, it'll touch on an ancient astronaut theory.
Not only that, but it was like the perfect subject matter for the time period that they set that movie in. Like it took place in the 50s, and it's like you got all the Roswell shit and all that. Like it's the Cold War.
Yeah, I gotta give that another watch.
Yeah,
the whole movie series, I gotta give another watch.
The movie in general is a pretty decent movie. It's just you have the bit with the nuclear of the fridge, you know, the hiding in the fridge and looking directly at a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
Like, okay, no. And then there's some really bad CGI in like the jungle chase and stuff. But then other than that, it's fine. But the new one looks good. The new one is being directed by the same guy who directed Logan. So, like, that's going to tell you something.
Ooh,
and
sounds good.
Not only does that, okay, if you like that, this is leading back into Star Wars, believe it or not. Okay, Ahsoka trailer dropped, I said that already. It looks really good. There's Rebels characters in there. You see Lafal. It's not, and you see some other stuff that I'm going to let you watch on your own, but it looks good, dude. It looks good. Lightsabers, finally.
Yeah.
Like, that's what, lightsabers. But the other big announcement, the thing that I'm really excited about, that came out the first day of Celebration, what has been the thing over the past couple of years? Yes, we've had, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Andor, all these fucking shows that have been awesome. I mean, ups and downs, obviously, but in general, I've been loving it. We've been living in a great time. But what has been missing over the past few years in Star Wars?
Please tell me. And I know some people are gonna disagree with me. Some people are gonna be super like, yes, that. Please tell me you're gonna say Vader.
No, not. I mean, as of right now, I don't know. But it be above Vader as a general concept. Films. We haven't had a movie since.
Right,
since before COVID. We have not had a Star Wars movie to go to.
Yeah, well, Disney kind of like pumped the brakes because after Solo. After Solo, and then Rise of Skywalker, they were like, you know what? Let's cool it on Star Wars movies for a while.
You know what? That made sense at the time. You had Solo. Even though I like Solo, I think it's a perfectly good film.
I'm so pissed at both Solo bombs, dude. I love Solo.
Two things about Solo, and we can have a completely separate discussion about everything we love about Solo on a different day. But you should not have put that out in the summer, right when Endgame was coming out, by the way.
No.
They should have waited until the winter. They had already established that December was like the new Star Wars time.
Yeah, and all the Star Wars time.
Yeah, it was like we had Force Awakens, then a year later we had Rogue One, then a year later we had Last Jedi, then 6 months later.
Yeah, they rushed that out. Plus, if they had waited, they would have had time. They would have had time to put some finishing touches on it.
Exactly, they could have tweaked it much more with another 6 months, and then we wouldn't have had to wait. And then we had to wait a year and a half for Episode 9, and then that was kind of muddled and mixed. And it's like, I think everybody after that was like, okay. And then we shifted into the Mandalorian, and right after that, COVID hit. So like it made sense. Like we can't do any movies for a bit. We don't know. We had COVID. We've lived through 3 years of weirdness. But
so what's going on with the news? What's the next move?
Yes, the news, the big news, and this is oh man, I said it. Okay, there the panel on Saturday. They announced 3 new movies. And this is completely separate from like how they've been talking about like, oh, Taika Waititi's going to do a movie. Oh, Kevin Feige might do a movie. Such and such, like Patty Jenkins had the Rogue Squadron movie, and now that's maybe not happening, or maybe it is, or maybe it's not. And it's like they didn't talk about any of that. This is completely new stuff, and it all sounds.
Lay it on me.
It all sounds right up my alley of like. This is exactly what I said.
Oh, I am okay. You got okay. You've sold it enough. Lay it on me. What are they talking about?
Number one, it's 3 movies, but this is not a trilogy. They're not connected. It's just 3 separate movies. And they didn't come out with they didn't specifically come out with like a slate like Marvel or DC has done in the past.
Yeah.
But what they did come out with is like, this is our timeline. And we're gonna. We have different eras that we're gonna play in. They put up 9 different eras, and they were like,
please tell me they're digging into Republic or pre-Republic eras.
What happened?
Like High Republic eras.
High Republic is one of the they have 9 like timeline places or whatever.
Yeah.
It's High Republic, and then it's like the Fall of the Jedi era, which is like the prequels. The New Republic, or like the Age of Rebellion.
All right. Well, what they've got, what these movies are talking about. Like I said, lay them on. What are we talking about?
Okay. So I'm trying to think of the order in which they announced them and which one I want to talk about first. Okay, I know how I want to do it because I was leading into it from Indiana Jones. The director, the guy who did Logan, is doing a Star Wars movie. James Mangold is doing a movie that is, they didn't give a title, but it is basically going to be focused on the dawn of the Jedi. It's going to be the beginning.
Like a movie about the Jedi?
Possibly. They didn't give any plot details or anything, but they said like basically James Mangold wants to make a biblical epic that is about like the very beginnings of the Force, and I'm like,
oh my,
yes,
freaking Lord,
I'm like, yes, I'm like, I want this.
No way, that's awesome.
This is the first stop on their timeline, and it is even before, like they had Old Republic as an era on their timeline. This is before that. This is like way back.
No, this is gonna be before that galactic government.
And the logo for this space in the timeline is the same thing that you see it in The Last Jedi at Luke's place. It's like that yin yang half black, half white monk thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested in what they're gonna do with that.
Nice.
There's not even
what are the other titles?
They could still touch on Old Republic later, but I'm like, please, yes, I'll take that. Fucking yes, biblical Jedi epic, I want it. The one I'm gonna skip ahead a little. The next one, because I'm saving one. The other one that they talked about is gonna take place in what they're gonna call I think they called it the New Jedi Order era.
Ooh, so like, is that like New Republic? Like, is that like post episode 6?
This is going to be an episode, no, post episode 9. Post episode 9 is basically, it's going to be episode 10, but without the title of episode 10. A standalone movie. It's going to be directed by somebody I don't know, so I need to research her more. But they confirmed Daisy Ridley is coming back as Rey.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be
That's
set.
Cool.
It's going to be set like 15 years, I think they said, after episode 9, and it's going to be focused.
I don't think that's cool. I'd like to see her reprise that role.
I have no problem with her.
Hate her or the role.
No,
but like I think everybody in those movies just got shafted by the writing and the concepts of the movies.
That is also my opinion.
Done differently, I feel like those movies could have been great. If you mix the elements of those movies differently, they could have been great.
I want to
know the way they did them and how they did it. Yeah, they just did it so, like, we just need to copy we just need the sheet off of episode 4, 5, and 6's notes as much as possible.
It was like
everybody just got shafted.
It was a mashup of member berries with, like, thievery from the already established expanded universe, and it's like,
That's exciting. So what's the third?
So it's her that's her establishing like the new Jedi Order and like more Jedi, but in the future. I'm there for that. I will also watch that. That sounds good. Hopefully we get more of that cast to get a better second chance at stuff too. The last thing they announced is like the thing that I'm like, okay, yes, because they're doing a movie that's set in the general Mandalorian time.
Okay,
and this
so
is
post-6?
Post-6. This is what they were talking about at there was a celebration that happened during Mandalorian Season 2, where they were like, we're going to do an Ahsoka show, and we're going to do a Rogue Squadron show, and we're going to do this and that and the other thing, and Kathleen Kennedy at that time said, and it's all going to culminate in a film event at some point.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, what? That never happened. When is that going to happen? It's going to happen. They didn't give a date to it yet or not, but this is basically, so I'm assuming that what their plan is they're going to be like a couple, maybe a few more seasons of The Mandalorian, maybe another, like an Ahsoka Season 2, maybe a Rangers of the New Republic show or whatever else they're going to put out in the next couple years. And then at the end of it all, Dave Filoni is getting a movie. Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is going to direct the movie that I think basically acts as a series finale for all the Mandoverse shows.
Oh, finally!
Dude, I'm so
excited. The king has begun.
Yes. Dude, that guy's journey is so amazing. Like, he started...
for a Star Wars fan, like, that's absolutely incredible.
He started as just an animator on Avatar: The Last Airbender, randomly gets invited into the Lucasfilm universe to head up Clone Wars, and now he's basically, like, the king of Star Wars.
Oh, no, he's working his way towards being the next George Lucas.
He basically already is. He is, if anybody is George Lucas's real-life Padawan, it's Dave Filoni.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. And they need to axe Kathleen Kennedy and give him the keys.
I feel like her time at Lucasfilm is probably coming to an end sooner rather than later. I think she's gonna head up this last round of movies, hopefully go out on a high note, and then either
I don't wish her ill, but I don't either. For the good of the fandom, I hope she's on her way out.
I have heard, there's as some other people put it, it's like, she's an excellent producer, but she's a producer, and from what I've been hearing...
She keep her nose out of story.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, she's been meddling too much in the actual creative end of it, and Dave Filoni he probably knows more about Star Wars than anybody else on the planet, and
especially because he's the one creating it.
I think he wears that cowboy hat all the time, because if he took it off, he just would have the robot brain from that guy in Cloud City, and he's just a computer.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And he's going to direct a movie that wraps all that up using the characters from it. Probably, I'm assuming, probably heavily Ahsoka being involved, and just just picture that, like savor that, like come on, I'm hoping that what they're doing is like basically giving us the expanded universe sequels that didn't get made, but in a new form. One other thing for you about that is in the Ahsoka trailer. She there's a line she says that's straight up like something like, I've heard rumors of Thrawn returning as the heir to the Empire. That is the title of the very first expanded universe Star Wars book that introduced Thrawn, heir to the Empire. They know what they're doing, and I'm thinking we could get based on what they've done already with Mandalorian and Boba Fett and everything. How can you even tell who or what might show up in a movie like that? You know, we could get more Luke. We could get X-War. We could get the trio in that movie. Not DH, but whatever they do now with the deep fake or something. Like I'm assuming Luke would show up. Probably like a better explanation if they're gonna keep the sequels canon. Obviously, they have to. So probably a better explanation.
Yeah, that would just be confusing if they backed out on them being canon.
I think that they're leading up to that movie as Dave Filoni fixing the problems with the sequels in giving a better explanation as to where the First Order came from, where Snoke came from. Like, they're laying those seeds in Mandalorian already, you know? I don't know if you remember the season 2 episodes where they found like that abandoned cloning facility and stuff.
Maybe not. It's been a while. I gotta brush up on it. Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Again, and then they had the doctor with the Camino outfit that was like trying to do something cloning wise with Grogu, and they're bringing some out without saying anything. They've already brought some of those elements back for season 3, where they're exploring that more, but being very vague about it. So I think that's where this is all leading. Thrawn is the big bad, and we're basically going to get the sequels that people wanted 10, 20 years ago, but then we got the Rey stuff instead. And I'm wicked excited, and who knows?
Yeah, that's all right. That's exciting as hell. All right, so it sounds like State of the Fandom of Star Wars strong,
promising as
looking into the future, promising strong.
I mean, there's stuff people are complaining about. There's always going to be stuff people are complaining about.
And then so we were talking about Marvel. Sounds like Marvel. Like I said, my assessment for Marvel, State of Marvel right now is transitional. Yeah. I would think most people would say right now Marvel's pretty weak, but I think they are, like I said, they haven't even introduced most of the heavyweight elements that they just got their rights back for,
right?
Like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, whatever it was. And
they not only.
So I think.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
Oh, what are you saying? I think State of Marvel would probably be transitional. They've got stuff coming up, and they're working on their thing. What I really want to talk about before we got to wrap up here, what I really want to talk about is what the hell is DC doing? Like, what is going on with DC? And they're like, I know they got Superman Legacy coming up, and then they've got. So where is their universe building, and what is relevant? What is not relevant? Because anything like James Gunn has done things that is now relevant to the old universe, which is obviously going to be obviously they're not going to take the work that he's done on the Suicide Squad and stuff and make that irrelevant.
No, they're not.
I know that he's doing they're going as far as to expanding on Weasel from that. Aren't they doing Creature Commandos and stuff?
I think that's going to be like an animated thing.
So,
but with the
their universe building is I know he said a bunch of promising stuff at panels recently that's been hinting at them getting into a lot of stuff that he's directly referenced, these are timelines from these comics that we're getting into, this is what we're expanding upon. But so they're doing Superman Legacy and the this, what is it? The attorney? The authority.
Authority.
The authority. They just announced like yesterday or the other day or something like that.
It was a little bit ago. It was whenever they did the slate, they did mention it. But
yeah, no, what, like, I don't know what the hell is that.
That is a way more obscure thing. But I mean, like, I'm reserving judgment on that because like nobody knew anything about Guardians of the Galaxy before that came out, and he turned that into a very enjoyable franchise. And from what I'm hearing, the authority. I'm like reserving judgment. Yeah, I am too.
Like, I like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I definitely think they have their weak points and their strong points.
They do.
But yes, even if you're talking about where they fit into Marvel and where they fit in with each other, like they're like first one's like good. First one's good. Second one, I'm like, meh. It's pretty good. It definitely could have a little bit more substance to it.
A lot of people, that was kind of the start of people being like, oh, Marvel's just kind of undercutting all the serious stuff with jokes. Everybody.
That, and it's like, yeah, that's the way that they've kind of gone. And now 3 just kind of looks like, I understand it's his exit, and I understand that it's like this team of Guardians exit, but the last movie, post-credit, they just introduced like a new, like what I thought was like, that, like, you know, they're introducing Adam Warlock.
Yeah, and he's going to be
I mean, Marvel is not going to just introduce Adam Warlock and then like that's he's only in Guardians 3.
I don't think he's going to be in Guardians 3. I think that Guardians 3 might be the exit for some of those characters. You probably will see some unwanted deaths. But I feel like Adam Warlock as a character will carry over into other movies, maybe his own movie, maybe more Avengers movies or whatever they do.
I'm calling it Drax is going to die. I'm pretty sure you see him dying in the trailer. I'm pretty sure you see him with a chest wound and they're dragging him. I'm pretty sure he dies in the next scene. I'm going to call that.
I also think that
what's the name? Dave Bautista is done.
Yeah, his contract is done. Not only is his contract done, he said he doesn't want to do any movies that aren't under James Gunn. And he also has said, like, I'm almost 60 years old. I can't be doing this forever. Those kind of comments are coming out of him.
Yeah.
So I do think that, unfortunately, Drax is probably not long for this world. I love Drax. Have you watched the holiday special yet?
No, not yet. Well, you know what? We gotta wrap soon. We were talking about we gotta get back to DC because
that is what we were talking about. But James Gunn lead into that. He came out with a sort of slate, I guess to say it's an announcement of 10 projects. I think there's like 5 animated ones and 5 live action ones. And somebody asked him later, like, how much of the actual like first phase of this does this slate cover? And his comment to that was less than half. So he has a lot more planned that we don't know about yet. So they're drip feeding it to. They're not.
So I guess
they're not.
I would say
with everything.
I would say State of DC would be like, in my opinion, a shame because I know everybody listening. I slept on it wicked bad, but I just watched the Snyder Cut of Justice League.
We're going to talk about
that. Why didn't they just? Why didn't they just continue making that movie? Like, I understand it was a tragedy what happened with Zack Snyder at the time.
Yeah.
And he had to step away. But that's the thing. They should have just taken his notes and finished his movie. Yeah, because that is a perfectly. It has its flaws, but that is a perfectly acceptable Justice League movie.
It is such.
Compared to what they released.
Dude, it is such a big improvement on the theatrical release that it's
if they had released that if they had done that as a theatrical release and not release what they had, I don't think they'd be rebooting the series right now.
Probably
to be completely honest, I think we'd be seeing the continuation of that. And we'd be talking about Man of Steel 2, and we'd be talking about, honestly, I don't think we would have seen Affleck exit.
Probably not.
I think the Batman would be a movie starring Ben Affleck and not Robert Pattinson.
I agree with you because I think that was the plan. And I think what happened with Justice League put such a sour taste in Ben Affleck's mouth that he just said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. This is not what I signed.
Well, I think the Justice League, which is it's a shame. I think the Justice League that they released. Well, honestly, I mean that I think between the fact that Justice League that they released was so weak that it just stopped the DCU in its tracks. I think it just killed it. To be honest. I don't think the other element of that, though, I think is, unfortunately, I'm going to say it again, they should have never cast Ben Affleck. I love Ben Affleck because I know how much he cares about the material, but he's just not good for Batman. He doesn't look good in the suit. He doesn't even look, he makes an alright Bruce.
I think my favorite moment with him is probably the introduction for him, where it's the end of Man of Steel, and you see Bruce Wayne dealing with that thing in the city, and it's just Bruce.
No, that's the beginning of Batman versus Superman.
That's what I'm talking about. That was his introduction into the universe, not just.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was pretty good.
That put me on a high note for him. I was like, okay, I'm here for that. Let's see more from him. But then, where they went with it was like, oh, not as great. And plus, you see, nobody knew Henry Cavill really when Man of Steel came out. He was a fresh face, and then you get Ben Affleck is Batman, where he's such a big movie star that it's maybe it kind of takes people out of it a little bit. I think it was more who Ben Affleck was. I'm sorry, he just doesn't have the cut. He doesn't have the sharp lines and just down to he doesn't have the sharp lines and grizzled look that Batman needs. That's somebody who's going to play Batman. He doesn't have Batman is a very stony-faced motherfucker. And Ben Affleck is a baby face, bro. We also led into those movies with Christian Bale, who has probably one of the stoniest faces you could get, even though he's very...
No, even he wasn't, in my opinion. I don't think he was...
No, I love The Dark Knight and everything, but we'll talk about this at some point. I have pretty... we can do a whole series on the Dark Knight movies. Yeah, particularly the third one, where it's I have so many issues with some of the parts of that.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of my state of the fandom for DC is hopeful, but
we will see. Yes, we shall see.
I'm hopeful, but everything for that is gonna ride on what they give us, the first things they give us. When you're saying? When we need the proof before we can latch on to something. And I think if they establish themselves with a really strong Superman movie, and then we see a trailer for Batman where everybody looks at it and is like, oh my god, that's Batman, yes. Then I think
that's all they need to hit. They need to hit Batman out of the park. But with the next Batman movie, they need to hit Batman out of the park.
Here's the thing with what they're doing, with why I'm hopeful about it, is because his plan is basically what I've been saying for years the DCEU's plan should have been from the beginning. You do a Superman movie, they did Man of Steel, then you do a Batman movie that is establishing Batman and his Bat family. Then you move on to other things like that. You throw a Green Lantern in there, you throw a Wonder Woman in there, and you build up to a Justice League movie.
I totally understand what they were trying to do. I totally understand. Well, they thought they were trying to. They thought they had to play catch up with Marvel.
They did.
They were like, Marvel's already got 3 Avengers movies out. We got to get a Justice League movie out. Push it out the door.
Avengers hit and made $1 billion, and DC finally woke up and it's like, this is going to work
if you make money.
So let's do it and do it quick, and they rushed it, and that hurt them. Because the Wonder Woman movie should have definitely come out before Batman versus Superman. A Batman movie that in Batman versus Superman they show the Robin suit that is clearly implying Robin's.
Well, I'm thinking about it. It's just
why didn't we see that? Why didn't we see that?
Such a weird Batman versus Superman. They pretty much did that because they teased it.
Yep.
They jokingly teased it in I Am Legend.
That's true.
They were you know what? let's do that and see if we can make that our second universe builder, because that's just jumping. That gives people something that they want, that they thought they were getting because we teased it with this, and then we'll go from there. But it's such a from coming off of Man of Steel, the first movie, Man of Steel, super strong Superman movie.
Yeah.
Perfect General Zod cast. And that is a shame. But no. That casting for General Zod is now wasted on a movie that the series is dead in the water. That's just a goddamn shame.
Another reason I'm very interested to see where they go with the Flash movie. Have you watched the trailer for the Flash?
I have.
Zod.
And I'm excited.
Zod is in it.
Oh, wait. I don't know if I've seen that one then.
Yeah.
I may not have seen that trailer.
Okay, I won't say anything else, but you see Zod in it. Like, you see the Battle of Metropolis.
True. Well, I mean, Zod is, because that's what, remember, Zod didn't make one appearance. Zod was the bat. They turned, Lex turned Zod's body into Doomsday.
And I think that was probably one of the points where a lot of DC fans kind of jumped ship, where they're like, oh, really? They're turning Zod into Doomsday? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I'm much more of a Marvel buff myself. Like, I'm not as caught up on the DC lore as I am Marvel. So it's like, I don't know what's up with Doomsday. I don't know Doomsday's origins.
I know.
So, like, for me, honestly, for me, honestly, it worked. Because, I don't know.
It works for the story they were telling as a way to do everything together. Like, I understand what they did and why they did it. Yeah. If you want to get to Justice League in a couple years, they did what they needed to do that. Like, you do the one movie that establishes Superman, and then you throw the Trinity into the next movie, and then you up the
it wasn't a bad plan. It's just the way Batman versus Superman was executed. Yeah. It was both. That's the thing. Is like, it's cool if you're watching it the way I just watched them, because I watched them in intervals as I was driving. If you're watching them as a way to kill time, okay. If that had been episodes in a series as opposed to them trying to make a movie, that would have been great.
And that's why great.
That's why it was great. Yeah, you don't watch it as a movie. Great character. Yeah, honestly, great character development for everybody involved.
And they would not have made that. They would not have made that movie the same way, even for theaters, even if Zack stayed with it, because they're not going to put a 4-hour movie in theaters. It probably
and also even if you cut that down, the movie that they the Snyder cut, you cut that down, anything from what it is, it's not going to be a song.
But I think
you need all of the character development, that they put in that. They need it.
I think that you still would have been able to get a much better movie with a 3-hour movie, which they might have done. And I think, but because honestly, dude, the theatrical cut got rid of all of both Cyborg and Flash's backstories, completely.
Cyborg was
barely a
character in the theatrical, and in the Snyder cut, he is central and pivotal and a wicked good character. And I'm now super sad that kid is not going to be Cyborg going forward. He does a great job.
Him and Flash were pivotal to the plot of the movie. The whole thing that Flash does at the end with running back through time or whatever.
Oh, that was so cool. That is awesome.
Based on
it's just okay, Barry, all you gotta do is run faster than the speed of light. You just gotta do it right now. You gotta break that rule. You gotta break it right now.
Dude, it was great. Even though I don't really like him,
even though he was played by a horrible piece of shit.
Glossing over that, and I wasn't a big fan of his casting to begin with. I don't think he looks like Barry Allen, et cetera, et cetera.
No, I was never a fan of that casting.
That's why that movie failed. It's based on Zack Snyder's plan, that movie was a Flash and Cyborg movie, and they cut Flash and Cyborg out almost completely. So you're left. You're left with all the fluff. Plus, then you get Joss Whedon came in and added a bunch of the jokes about Flash falling on Wonder Woman's boobs and all this other stuff that is completely.
Wow, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, do you remember? Yeah, you don't remember? Dude, that was that. And that's in the final battle. Flash does oops, I fell on a boobs woman. Like,
oh, that's stupid. And also poor Steppenwolf, what they did to Steppenwolf.
Dude, night and day. Dude, night and day.
Steppenwolf is awesome. Steppenwolf is awesome in the Snyder Cut.
He is, and the fact that like they did set up Darkseid, all the work with Darkseid in that movie.
Oh, the fact is how much Darkseid is it's not a lot, but how much you made of Darkseid in that is like, oh, that's awesome.
It's a perfect part one to the 2-part movie we never got the ending to. And watching the Snyder Cut makes you want to see that second part. And that was the plan.
After the Snyder Cut, I'm sad. After the Snyder Cut, I'm sad that the DCEU is not going to be continued.
I would just like to see his part 2, and then I could be happy. Like I guess he had a 5-film plan. They had a plan. It wasn't I don't think it was the plan I would have.
Well, unfortunately, what really killed it was the unfortunate loss of his daughter, which nobody can be to blame for that. That is absolutely tragic.
The studio's decision to deal with that unstoppable problem were all terrible, and he could have come back in a few years and finished his stuff out, but they did all the wrong things, and he had...
Yeah, they made all the wrong moves in the meantime.
It was going to be, Man of Steel, then BVS, then Justice League 1 and 2, and then he had a 5th movie that was going to be his, end. He had a beginning, middle, end to his DC Universe plan, and he didn't get to do it, and that really sucks. I do gotta wrap. So, but before we wrap, state of the fandom. Yes.
Star Wars
looking strong, looking positive. I'm really excited about the future of it, and I hope that they capitalize on everything that the potential is there for, because there's some really exciting stuff coming out.
Looking good. So. And we didn't even touch on acolytes and shit. So
there's Marvel. That is apparently prequel era lightsaber extravaganza, and all in the waning days of the old Republic or the High Republic, right before Episode 1.
Right.
Excellent.
So Star Wars strong, looking hopeful. Marvel. Faltering. My opinion of Marvel faltering, but hold on to your seat.
Yeah, because we got Secret Wars coming, dude.
Yep.
We're gonna have.
I think we got to push through.
We should.
I think we got to push through this phase. I think we got to push through. Well, like I said, we got to wrap right now, but
I think. But it's
phase 4 is tough. I think we just got to. I think we as fans, we got to hold tight, push through the slate that they got out, and see what they got next in store.
They had such a big end point with Endgame that it's of course they're floundering a little. They're trying to build up where they're going next, and they have some good building blocks, but people need to be patient.
And DC. All right,
Daredevil, Born Again,
right.
We're getting some good stuff coming.
So Marvel, basically all downswing right now, but hold on your seats.
Yeah, I think we bounce back.
DC down. Yeah, DC. I'm going to say is hopeful, but let's see what happens with James Gunn.
They're saying that we got a Green Lantern TV show coming out that's being called True Detective in Space. I'm here for that.
I think that's the right move with Green Lantern. I think Green Lantern is too. I think the Green Lantern core. I think that is just too big a concept to explore a movie. Yeah. I think they gotta go serious with that.
I think that was the big problem with the Ryan Reynolds version. Is they're trying to cram too much in there, and they didn't know where to go with it at the time. TV show is good to start, and then we see them show up later in movies. I'm good with that. Then we got a Wonder Woman prequel thing, all about the people of Themyscira being called Game of Thrones.
I don't know. Let's not get into that because we're going to open stuff up again, and I have my feelings about that. Let's just say I have my feelings about that.
Because I think they're still waiting to see whether or not Gal Gadot is going to remain part of the universe. Because my big question is probably not. but I don't know.
Well, no, that's if they're going to recast one, they have to recast all, or otherwise it's not going to make sense.
I mean, the big question mark for me with DC right now is Aquaman 2, because they said that Flash basically looks like a Flashpoint Paradox adaptation, kind of. It's like a little bit of a different take on that. And they said it's going to reset the universe to lead into, the new DCU.
Let's just hope it recaps Barry Allen.
I mean, we'll see. I feel like it could. It could end with him dying or being replaced by an alternate version. I don't know yet. We'll see. It's coming out soon.
Right,
we're gonna find out soon. But Aquaman comes out after that, and it's still Jason Momoa. So, and he's saying, I hope that Aquaman is going to be involved in the future of the DCU. So, like,
true, that's strange. That's strange because I thought they just straight up weren't even doing a documentary anymore.
I think they're only putting it out because they have it all shot already, and they don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they could do that with Batgirl because Batgirl was intended for streaming, and it was like a $40 million movie. But Flash and Aquaman are both like $200 million movies, and they don't.
Yeah, they gotta make a return on that.
They don't want to just waste that. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see with DC. Everything else,
right, well,
I think, is promising. And then we got we're gonna wrap up for today, but we have a ton of other stuff that we're gonna talk about on this channel very soon. This has been an hour and a half almost to talk, and we only talked about these 3 properties pretty much.
We have not even scraped the tip of the iceberg.
No, we have not. There's so many more things to talk about that we're going to. We're going to discuss all of that coming up, but this has just been a general thought to catch up.
Yeah, definitely come back. We got a lot to dig our claws into.
We do, and the show is gonna be constantly evolving a little bit. Right now, it's a very bare bones version. I'm obviously coming to you from my car. We got my brother's coming to us from his car on the phone. I want to eventually get to be like an indoors situation where we might see both of our faces and actually get to talk about some of this stuff and get some visuals on screen. But like, this is us trying to get back into the game. We've been gone for a while. COVID really kind of messed a lot of things up. I fell off the game, but
let's bounce back.
This is us bouncing back. I've got reactions coming up on the channel. I got more talking about all of these different topics planned to come up back on the channel. I'm also going to upload. There's a few talks that I have done with Crystal and my friend JJ that we did on the Stereo app that we're going to try and get those up as podcasts on here very soon. And
all right.
Things are afoot for this channel.
Sounds like fun.
I hope all of you out there, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It would all help us. It would help us out. I want to be able to bring more stuff to you and talk more with you, Kit, talk with other people about all this stuff. So, that's where we're at.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Yeah. We'll see you next time.
If you've been listening, thanks so much. And talk to us down below about what you're excited about, what you don't like, what you like, and all of it. That is where we're at. And we will see you next time.